I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. IV made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. All right, let me tell you about something that happened to me back in 2021. I remember it like it was yesterday because honestly, that period of my life was a complete mess. But it was also the best thing that ever happened to me. And I want to share this with you because I think a lot of you are probably going through something similar right now. You might not even realize it, but you are stuck in this cycle where you want to change, but you keep getting pulled back into the same old patterns. So here's the story. My birthday was coming up in 2021 and things were actually going pretty well on paper. My little side thing I was working on was starting to pick up. I was making some actual money from it for the first time. I had also just gotten through the worst of the COVID weight gain. You know how it was? Everyone packed on some pounds during lockdown, and I was no different. I had been in the gym my whole life pretty much since high school, but after COVID, I was like 20 to 30 pounds heavier than I wanted to be, and I hated how I looked. I mean, I really hated it. I would catch my reflection in a window and just feel this pit in my stomach. On top of that, I was in the middle of writing the first draft of my first book. So I had all these balls in the air, business, fitness, writing, and on the surface it looked like I was crushing it. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about making progress. When you start doing well, the world around you starts throwing distractions at you left and right. It is almost like the universe tests you to see if you are serious. And I was not serious enough back then. Every single weekend, there was something, a concert, a friend's birthday, a group hangout, someone's house party, and since I was making good progress, I kept telling myself I could take a break. I deserved it, right? I worked hard all week, so I went out, I partied, I drank, I stayed up until 3 in the morning, I ate garbage food, and you can guess what happened. My progress didn't just slow down. It went completely downhill. Every weekend, it would take me 4 or 5 days just to recover my energy and my mental clarity. And by the time I felt normal again, it was Thursday or Friday, and another event was coming up. Another reason to go out, another excuse to break my momentum. It was this endless cycle of almost getting somewhere, and then crashing back down. And the worst part was I could feel it happening. I knew I was slipping, but I didn't have a strong enough reason to stop. The pain was bad enough yet. Does that make sense? Like when you are in a bad relationship or a dead-end job, you know it is bad, but you don't leave until the pain of staying becomes greater than the pain of leaving. That is exactly where I was. I knew my habits were killing my progress, but I wasn't fed up enough to do anything about it. Then my birthday trip to Seattle came up. My friends and I had been planning this for months, and I was already tired of not making progress, but it was my birthday, right? So I justified going out one last time, one last hurrah before I got serious. Sound familiar? So I went. I partied, I drank, I did the same thing I had been doing for months, and when I got back, I was just done. I mean, I was so mad at myself. Not angry in a destructive way, but angry in a way that finally lit a fire under me. Because when you have goals that actually mean something to you, they shine a bright light on everything you are doing wrong. And the most painful thing in the world is watching those goals fade into the background while you chase shallow pleasure instead. It hurts, man. It really hurts. So I made a decision. The second I got home, I just disappeared. I stopped responding to people. I became completely unavailable. Every invitation was an automatic. No, I didn't even have to think about it. And the funny thing is, once I made that decision, everything became easy. I wanted to be disciplined. It felt good. It felt right. My mind came back. My body came back. My business came back. Everything changed in an instant. Now, why did that work? Why does being extreme work better than trying to be moderate? Let me break this down because this is important. First reason is that being extreme actually changes your brain. There is a famous principle in neuroscience called Hebbies' law. Basically, it says neurons that fire together wire together. So neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself based on your experiences and actions. Your brain is not fixed. It is dynamic. It adapts. So when you go all in on something, you force your brain to adapt quickly. Consistency is great, but novelty and challenge actually stimulate neuroplasticity even more. When you flip the switch and pursue a goal with everything you got, you put your brain in a position where it has to adapt fast and make that new behavior your standard. Second reason is that intensity creates this powerful chemical cocktail in your brain. Most people rely on external motivation to get stuff done, but when you are obsessed with a goal, you tap into intrinsic motivators that are way more powerful. There are 5 of them. Curiosity, which makes you want to learn and explore. Passion, which gives you that burning energy. Purpose, which makes you feel like what you are doing actually matters. Autonomy, which is the freedom to control your own choices. And mastery, which is the pure joy of getting better at something. When you stack all 5 of those together, you get this sustained flow state that feels amazing and keeps you going without burning out. That is why obsessed people don't need motivation. They just do it because it feels right. Third reason is that your mind filters reality based on what you are obsessed with. There's a quote from Maxwell Maltz that says the man who conceives himself to be a failure will find some way to fail in spite of all his good intentions. And it is true. Your brain is wired to notice things that match your identity and your beliefs. So if you see yourself as someone who is serious about changing your life, your brain will start noticing opportunities everywhere. You LLC books to read, people to follow, strategies to try, stuff that was invisible to you before suddenly becomes obvious. It is like when you learn a new word and then you hear it everywhere. Same thing with goals. If you are not obsessed with a goal, you are literally missing out on opportunities that are right in front of you. The people who are obsessed are living in a completely different reality, and they don't struggle because success becomes automatic for them. Now, here's the thing you are probably thinking. That sounds great, Reed, but what if I am not obsessed with anything? What if I feel lost or stuck or like I don't even know what I want? That is totally normal. That is exactly where I was before my birthday. And here is the science behind why that is actually a good thing. Evolution creates order from disorder. There's a law in physics called the second law of thermodynamics that says everything tends toward disorder over time. That is entropy. Your room gets messy, your car breaks down, your life can feel chaotic, but that is only half the story. When a system gets pushed far enough away from balance, it can create new complex ordered patterns out of that chaos. Think of water going down a drain. At first it is chaotic and messy, but then it forms a beautiful whirlpool that is order emerging from disorder. The same thing happens in your life. When you feel completely lost and your life feels like a mess, you are actually in the perfect position for a higher version of yourself to emerge. That is exactly what happened to me. Things got so bad and so chaotic that I hit a breaking point, and instead of falling apart, I used that energy to flip everything around. The reason most people never reach this point is because they aren't brutally honest with themselves about how their current path is affecting their life. They numb the pain with distractions instead of facing it. But if you sit with that discomfort long enough, you will reach the crossroads of dissonance and insight. One part of you wants to stay the same, and one part of you wants to change. And when you intentionally choose the higher part every single time you get hit with this insane burst of clarity, the answer just comes to you. That is the tipping point. That is what pushes you into being extreme. So once you hit that point, what do you actually do? You disappear for 6 months and focus on 4 specific habits, not 50 habits. Not a complicated system, 4 things. 1 project, 1 book, 1 meditation, 1 workout. Let me start with the project. Your project is the thing you build. It is your work. And I know some of you hate your job and you are thinking, I don't too want to hear about work, but hear me out. Work is essential for a meaningful life. It gives contrast to rest. Have you ever been on vacation for a month? After a while, you start wanting to go home and do something productive, right? Because pure rest becomes meaningless without work to balance it. The problem is you are working on the wrong thing. So choose one project that builds the life you want, something that leads to independent work, something that lets you solve problems for other people. I personally recommend trying entrepreneurship because it gives you control over what you do and how you do it. Spend 1 hour of deep work on this project every single day. Put it on your calendar. Don't negotiate with yourself. Second habit is 1 book. You need knowledge to change your life. School probably is giving you what you need, so you have to self-educate. Read for 30 minutes a day. 1 book at a time. ULL finish at least 1 book in a month or 2 depending on the length. But the goal isn't to read 100 books. It is to actually absorb and apply what you learn. Read about people who have the life you want. Read about habit psychology and skills that move you forward. Third habit is 1 meditation. Now, I am not talking about sitting in a dark room with incense burning unless that is your thing. Meditation to me is a way of seeing the world. It is about noticing depth instead of living on the surface. Spend at least 10 minutes a day paying attention to reality in detail. Go for a walk and focus on your feet hitting the ground. Stare at a tree and notice the texture of the bark. Listen to someone and actually hear their tone and expression instead of just their words. This practice pulls you out of the shallow, distracted state that most people live in. It connects you to the present moment, and that is where real change happens. Fourth habit is 1 workout, and I'll let Socrates say this one. No man has the right to be an amateur in physical training. It is a shame to grow old without seeing the strength and beauty your body is capable of. Your body is your vehicle for everything else in your life. If you neglect it, everything else suffers. Your mind gets foggy, your work quality drops, your relationships feel shallow. It is all connected, so commit to 1 workout that you actually enjoy. Running, weightlifting, yoga, Pilates, doesn't matter. Just do it consistently. These 4 habits cover the 3 dimensions of a good life. The good, which is doing what is right and contributing to others. The true, which is learning and understanding how things actually work. And the beautiful, which is noticing and creating beauty in the world around you. When you align your life with these 3 things, everything starts to click. Now let me talk about defense real quick, because you can just add good habits without removing the bad ones. When you disappear, you need to eliminate distractions completely. And I mean completely. Stop responding to people who drain your energy. Say no to every invitation that pulls you away from your goals. Quit your bad habits starting tomorrow, no exceptions. It is actually easier to change everything at once than to change 1 thing at a time. Rip the band-aid off, you thank yourself later. Here is the thing I want you to understand. Most people spend their 20s drifting. They float from 1 weekend to the next, 1 relationship to the next, 1 job to the next, and then they wake up at 30 wondering where the time went and why they feel so stuck. That was me for a while, but the good news is you can change at any time. It doesn't matter if you are 22 or 29 or even older. The same principles apply. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to say no to things that most people say yes to. You have to be willing to be extreme. When I disappeared for those 6 months, I didn't just change my habits. I changed my identity. I stopped seeing myself as someone who was trying to get his life together and started seeing myself as someone who already had it together. That shift in self-perception changed everything. Because when your identity changes, your behavior follows automatically. You don't have to force yourself to work out, because working out is just what that version of you does. You don't have to convince yourself to save money, because saving money is just how that person operates. It becomes natural. And that is really what this whole thing is about. It is not about grinding yourself into burnout or becoming some productivity robot. It is about becoming the kind of person who naturally makes good decisions. The kind of person who does have to fight themselves every single day. The kind of person who looks in the mirror and feels proud of what they see. I know this sounds heavy, but I promise you it is worth it. The pain of discipline is nothing compared to the pain of regret, and the regret of wasting your 20s is a heavy burden to carry. I've met people in their 30s and 40s who told me they wish they had started earlier, and it broke my heart because I could see the regret in their eyes. Don't let that be you. So here is my challenge to you. Pick one thing from this video that resonated with you and start today, not tomorrow, not next week. Today, pick one habit, one project, one change, and go all in. Be extreme about it. Say no to everything else for the next 6 months. Disappear from the noise and come back unrecognizable. I promise you, if you do this, your life will look completely different on the other side. It worked for me, and I am just a normal guy. It can work for you too. If you want to dig deeper into any of the stuff I talk about in my videos, I write about it on my Substack. I put out letters every week breaking down the real stuff about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. No fluff, no fake guru nonsense. Just practical real-world advice from someone who has been through it. You can sign up for free or paid, whatever works for you. I put a lot of value out there. Either way. All right, that is it for this one. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself and take care of your money. Peace.